What's up, Dragon Brood? So today I want to address something that some fans have asked, both on the stream and in the comment section here on YouTube. We've had some people wondering, like, when you're playing aggro decks, should you be including some form of tap lands, whether that's the new Triomes or the Temples from M20 and Theros? The answer is yes. Okay, let's start from the basics. Like, first off, assuming your deck is multicolored, you're going to need a way to hit your colors on time. And then you have the situations where decks have two or three pips of different colors, but you want to be able to cast two spells at the same time. And then it just becomes easier when you have multiple lands giving you different colors. Now, yes, the only way to do that is by playing the lands that come into play tapped, but there are benefits to doing so. So what I want to do is I want to take you through some hands and we'll talk about different mulligans that actually have these lands in them over a variety of decks so that we can really get into a deep discussion and point out why this is useful and how to even handle the mulligans in these hands. So it's kind of like a two-part video. We're talking about one, the benefits of having those lands, and two, well, mulliganing's hard and maybe we can talk about it and help somebody out. Also, I want to say, with full disclosure, this comes from an article I was actually writing for Card Kingdom, which gave me the, I guess, idea to go in a little more in depth in a video format. And before we get to those hands and decks, please remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you get notified whenever I have videos up. But let's get to those. Now, the easiest way for us to do this is to go into Arena and use the bot match setting so we can actually play against Sparky. We're not going to play any of the games, but we can just keep hitting the mulligan button so we can keep getting different hands so we can discuss them. So in case you're wondering, you say like, it's giving me the option to mulligan to 4, mulligan to 3. It's like, because I'm just going through hands so we can have them for examples. So let's look at the first example here. You have the Triome, which is perfect. Then you have a Blood Crypt and a bunch of spells. Now, this is very interesting because it actually gives you all the colors that you need. And this is a prime example of why you want to play these multiple colored lands, right? Even though they come into play tapped, it doesn't offset this hand at all. If you put your Triome down on turn 1, no matter what you draw next turn, you have your choice of casting either the General's Enforcer or the Hero of Precinct 1. And the way this hand's set up, you probably want to play the Hero of Precinct 1, so when you play your General's Enforcer on 3, or something else that you may draw that's also multicolored, you get an additional token. So this works out perfectly in this setting. And this is exactly the examples we want to talk about as to why these decks want this. It allows you to hit whatever card you need to on time without missing your colors. The other thing is too, this is also considering we're going first. If we're going second, you have even more data available to you. So going into your second turn, you'll have a better idea of which creature is better to play. Maybe if you're playing against mono red, you'd still rather just play the General's Enforcer out, because they don't have many things that deal 3 damage, so they'll have to end up expending an additional card and trade, or if they have like a Fervent Champ, they'll have to do something like use a Rimrock Knight or a Shock, in addition with attacking, to play the General's Enforcer, which keeps them from playing an additional creature. So the fact that you have that Savai Triome actually gives you more opportunity, more flexibility from turn to turn. Okay, now if you follow this channel, you know I play a lot of Gruul decks, so not a surprise I was going to use one as an example. But here we are looking at a perfect Gruul hand here that includes a Temple of Abandon. Now, yes, sometimes you don't want to play the Temple of Abandon on turn 1, sometimes you do. Now let's say this hand didn't have the forest or the mountain in it. Then you would probably still play it on turn 1 because you can guaranteed play your bigger creature on turn 2. Then if for some reason you miss a land or you don't get another 2-drop creature, you could then play the Pelt Collector on that turn and play the Temple of Abandon into play to set up your hand to be able to play the Questing Beast on the following turn. As it stands, we'll go ahead and just play Pelt Collector on 1, play the Zertog Goblin on 2, most likely, and then you'll be able to follow up with an additional 2-mana creature if you draw one. If not, we just play the Temple and you still have the Scorching Dragonfire to remove something, or attack into something bigger in combination with your creature. And then you have your land set up for the Questing Beast. The other part of the Temples is that you actually get to scry. So not only do you get the colors that you need going into the following turn, it also gives you the opportunity to guarantee the odds, or get a higher guarantee of the odds, that you'll be drawing a land to be able to play the questing beast. So there's a few things going on here as to why you want to play them. And yes, I know sometimes if you're a casual player or a mid-level player, you look and say, well, why are these rare? Or why would I play these when there's the others that come into play that gain life? The reality is, the scry on the temples, huge. Just like this hand is a prime example of that. You may get caught in a situation where you want to put something on the bottom that's less useful or less impactful to be able to increase your odds of drawing a land and playing that questing beast. In the case of the Triomes, it's simply giving you 3 colors, which you just can't get any other way currently. And on top of that, the Triomes actually cycle, which makes them that much better in the late game. Now, this deck you're looking at is a mutate heavy deck that's more of a mid-range deck, so I'm not sure it necessarily fits our aggro examples, but this hand is a good example to use. When you're looking at the 2 temples in the forest, yet you can't really cast anything else, the reality is, whether you're mulliganing or not, having these 2 temples here is huge. This is a deck that's also filled with other mana creatures, so if you were to draw something, you'd be able to play it on turn 2 regardless of what it is. It plays both the new creature that actually makes things with mutate cheaper, also plays things like Paradise Druid and whatnot in the list. So this gives you a lot of opportunity to increase the odds of getting what you need and being able to play it. And you get to do it on back-to-back turns, so the fact that you'll hit something at least on turn 3 is pretty strong here. So though this looks like a bad mulligan, having 2 temples can actually help you work your way out of it. Okay, now here we're looking at a cycling deck. Just guide colors, so you've got red, white, and blue, obviously with what's in the hand. This actually is interesting because you could hold on to the Triome here and just play the Flourishing Fox on 1 and then try to spend your mana cycling a bunch of these 1 mana cycling cards. Or you could just play your Rogran Triome on 1, then just play your Improbable Alliance on 2, and then start taking off to the races, getting your extra fairy tokens. But again, here, the land is giving you access to every color, so you can play whatever you need on the following turn. This is why we play these. This is another one of those examples of, though this deck is trying to do stuff very quickly, you need to have access to those colors. If this is a land that only makes 2 colors, there's a possibility you can't even cast 2 or 3 cards in this hand, potentially. And that's something you really have to consider. I know we look at them and say, yeah, but they come into play tapped and you're trying to play aggressively. And it's like, yeah, sure. But this gives you the opportunity to do that and keep leaning forward on your opponent. The biggest thing is you're trying to hit your cards on time as often as possible. And it's not even about the lands coming in the tap that's the issue. It's just not having the proper colors that's the real problem, more often than not whenever you're missing. And because it's the PowrDragn channel, we're going to look at another hand that's got green and red cards, because that's what we do around here. So again, you're looking at a temple, likely you're going to play it on turn 1, so it doesn't even disrupt your hand here at all. And it can help you set up the future turns, because now you know you need to get it to either 4 or 5 mana to keep the rest of the hand functional. So now you're almost wanting to just put stuff on the bottom, unless it's something relative you can play on turn 2 that's going to be powerful. Maybe a Zertog Goblin, depending on the matchup, you might want something that's a 3/3. Then maybe you leave that on top. Otherwise, you're shipping it to the bottom to get land. That's a benefit you get out of these temples, and it doesn't even hurt your tempo on turn 1. It's super good in this scenario. It's a very small thing, but even increasing your odds just 2 or 3 percentage points is a big difference to getting the next thing that you need. Over the course of a game, if you get 2 or 3 of these temples off, especially when you shipped away cards you don't want, they actually give you a big advantage. I know people look and say, man, but I'm playing an aggro deck. Like, are you sure I need these? There's sometimes they come up wrong or whatever. Like, these are the types of situations that let you hit turn 2, turn 3, turn 4 up the ladder. So your temple may find a turn 2 play here, which is awesome. If it doesn't, then we can use the Bone Crusher's ability. Then next turn get our choice of playing Bone Crusher or Spellbreaker, even if we don't find another land. And if we do, now we're set up for the Tectonic Giant on the following turn. So there are so many things it can help set up to move your game forward. Well, amusingly, how that worked out, we didn't really have to talk too much about mulligans. The hands were actually pretty good, and we were talking more about how we would sequence our way through them. So maybe mulliganing's a whole different video we'll do. Matter of fact, I think I will do another video on that some point down the road, but we'll see. But yeah, the biggest thing here is just saying, yes, you do want those in the deck. It's not even a question. There's a reason that if you look at all the top decks that are multicolor, that are aggressive, by even the top players, the top tournament finishers, they're playing them. There's a lot of benefits to doing so, and having access to those colors is nice. Getting the scry effect from the temples, huge. Having the option to cycle away and just get another card late in the game from the Triomes, also huge. And that's not even counting those situations where you're playing a cycling deck and actually can use the cycle ability and get a benefit. Like, there's so many things going on with these that you can't really ignore them. There's a reason that they're rare and that so many people are okay with them being rare. Like, the impact is there. I get it. It looks like maybe that one time it's bad, but truthfully, for every one bad time you have, there's probably 10 times it was great, that it gave you multiple colors and it didn't even matter that it came into play tapped. That's the thing you have to pay attention to, is don't hold on to those negatives so much. You have to look at all the positives. And yes, it is a little bit of a balance and a little bit of a risk, but it's like a 90-10 split. You kind of got to go with it. But yeah, again, if you're looking at all those deck lists, there's no denying that everybody's on the same page that they're worthwhile. So the verdict is yes, we do actually want them in the aggressive decks. There's a reason that if you look through the deck list that I posted up on this channel or on my Aetherhub page or wherever when you see me on stream, they're probably all going to have some combination of these lands, if not both, depending on the type of deck that it is. But if there's anything else you all want to see as far as different strategy things or questions, feel free to post in the comments. I actually like to hear from everybody and get an idea for what type of video content you want to see. I have no idea if people will enjoy seeing this or not, but it's something I've been asked, so I figured I'd at least answer the question with at least some hands that we can analyze and talk about. Also didn't want to make the video too deep, so hopefully I covered enough in just a short amount of time, so it's at least relatively easy to consume. But yes, again, leave comments. Let me know if you like this video. Matter of fact, if you like it, also hit the like button so I'll know for sure. And just let me know. Did you like this content? Was it terrible? Did you want me to go in depth? Are you interested in seeing the Mulligan video? Any of those things would be fun to discuss. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And when you do, hit the notification bell that pops up. That'll let you know every time I have a video up so you don't miss them. Anyway, that's all I have for today. We'll see you next time.